Hi class, this video is going to walk you through the calculated fields assignment. Before doing that, I just want to go ahead and go through how to fix the access files that are showing up with an added security risk. You can see that I've downloaded the two files right here. Before you open the access file, you want to go ahead and right click on it, choose Properties, and then right down here you're looking for this piece right here. This file came from another computer and it might be blocked, so just click the unblock, choose Apply, click OK, and then you can work with the file. Now remember, do not double click an access file to open it. Instead, you want to open up access and then open the file inside of that. So we're going to go to Browse and we're going to go to Downloads and open up the file. Okay, we can go ahead and click Enable Content. I can make this a floating window. And since I'm using Windows 11, I can hover and place those files where I want them to go. All right, the next step is to save the file with your name. So I'm going to go ahead and save as, and I'm going to re-navigate back to my Downloads folder. By default, Access will always try and save it in the documents. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back into my Downloads, and I'm going to change the name of this to my first and last name. And then you click Enable Content again. You can adjust the size of the navigation pane so you can make things a little bit easier to see. And I'm actually going to adjust the size of my windows here so that I can make it easier to see the instructions. All right, this is a short assignment that's just going to take you through how to create some calculated fields in a query on the fly, and how to create an aggregate query which shows you some statistics. So just going to create two queries. This will be a short assignment. All right, so create a query in Design View that answers this question. What are the name, quantity, and retail price of all roses? So I'm going to go ahead and go to Create, Query Design, and I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to close these guys. I'm going to add the rose inventory table to the design grid. There is only one table in this database, so obviously that's the one we're going to use. All right, so what are the name, quantity, and retail price? So we're going to add the name, the quantity, and the retail price for all of those items so that we can see what we got. And once we add the fields, it's always a good idea just to run that query and kind of check out and see what information we're looking at. I'm just going to go ahead and auto fit that. You can say I have the names, I have how much I have of each type of flower or rose, and what the retail price is. All right, going back to Design View. All right, the next thing it says is select the retail price. So I can go ahead and click to select this field. I'm going to go ahead and open up the property sheet, and they want us to change the format of this field to currency with 2 decimal places. So right here under Format, I can choose currency, and I can type a 2 right here for decimal places. If I run the query, you can see the $ now appears, and I can have the 2 decimal places. All right, going back to Design View, and just remember you can either pop the arrow down and choose Design View, or you can just click on View and it'll switch you back to that Design View. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the property sheet. We don't need it open right now. Let's save the query as calculated field query. So I'm just going to come up here to the save icon, and because this is the object that's open, that is what will be saved. Calculated field query. All right, there we go. All right, step 5, create a calculated field that shows the sales tax calculation for each rose item where the sales tax is 7%. Name the calculated field sales tax. All right, so this step here, step A, is going to take you through that. So in the design grid, what we're going to do is we're going to create a field on the fly. So when we run this query, it will automatically calculate the sales tax. So to do that, you can type the information right here in the top of the field. Or if you right click and choose Zoom, you're going to get a nice big window, and it makes it a lot easier to type in what you need to create this calculated field. So we're going to type in exactly what we see right here in the instructions. We're going to type the name of the new field, so sales tax, that will be the name of the field. It is always followed by a colon, and then after that, the colon is kind of like the equal sign, and so what we put on the right, it will be the math to create that. And so we're going to multiply the retail price field by 7%, which would be 0.07. So anytime we are referencing an actual field, it always has to go in square brackets, and you have to type it exactly as you see the name. So we need a capital P there. Space, times, that's the asterisk. 0.07, so we convert 7% to a decimal value, so we can multiply it here, and then we just click OK. And that expression appears in the top of the design grid. You could have typed it all right here, but it's really tiny, so using that zoom box makes it super easy. All right, so step B is explaining everything that I just did. So we clicked OK. So now we're going to format this field as currency. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. I'm going to open the property sheet, and I can come back and choose format like I did in the previous step to currency. All right. Run the query. So we're going to go ahead and run it, and you can see there we go. I'm selling it for $8.99. I multiply it by 7%. So the tax would be 63 cents. That's what you're getting right here. All right, so we now see the sales tax. So the next step is we're going to add the next calculated field, which is the total price. So we go back to design view, close this property sheet, give me some more room. And so the next field is going to be the total price. And so we're going to use the same method we were using before. So I'm creating a new field on the fly. I'm going to right click and choose zoom so I can get that nice big window. And then the name of this field would be total price, followed by a colon. And so to get the total price, you're simply just going to add the retail price to the sales tax. So it's going to be retail price in square brackets plus the sales tax. And since that is a field, it also goes in square brackets. Close the square bracket, click OK. And now we can run our query. And you can see there is the information. We still need to do some formatting, but we can start to see I get 9.6193. You can see that we're going to change it to 2 decimal places. So we're going to go ahead so the numbers match up. So the last one is we want to select total price, open up that property sheet and set the format to currency and set the decimal places to 2. Run it again. And there we go. You can see we have $9.62. So that is how you can create calculated fields on the fly. In design view, you can add fields to the design grid that do some simple calculations. And this even works when if you have multiple tables in a query, you can pull multiple pieces of information from multiple tables and build fields on the fly. All right, we don't need to save this again, so we're just going to go ahead and close that query. Oh, it does want me to save it, probably because I do need to save it because I did change the formats. So I'm going to say yes, and then that closes that query, and we have that calculated query. All right, the next one is to create a query with statistics. So we can do some statistical calculations, which are also called aggregate functions for a group of records. So let's go ahead and run through these steps. Next step says create a query in design view. So we're going to go to create query design. There's only one table in this database, so I'm going to add that table to the design grid. All right, run the query. So let's just run it real quick. Oh, sorry. I'm going to back up. Totally skipped a step. So you can see when I ran it, just click on that run, you actually have to tell the query at least one piece of information. So again, this is actually good that I made a mistake because it's important to always read the error messages. So query must have at least one destination field. I did not finish reading my steps. So it wants to know what are the item colors and quantity of all roses. So I'm going to choose item color and quantity because those are the two that are listed in the query right here in the instructions. So now we can run it. There we go. And we can see that we have different colors and different amounts. So I have yellow 28, but you can also see down here I have another yellow with 29. I have Merlot listed 3 different times, 23, 56, 48. And this is just referring to maybe different styles of roses, but they still have the same color. So it would be a great way to look at this information, but instead of having each item listed individually, it'd be nice to group them by color. So that's what we're essentially doing. How many Merlots, how many reds, how many yellows, so on and so forth. All right, let's go back to design view. All right, on the design tab in the show hide group, click totals. So on the query design ribbon, this is the one we're on. Here's that totals button. When I click this, you will see another line added down here to the design grid. So I'm going to click the totals and you're going to see here's this total row that's been added. So it now allows us to group information by a specific field. All right, click totals, add the total row as the third row in the design grid. that's what I just talked about. All right, so then in the total row under quantity, right here, click in the box that displays the group by, and then click the arrow to display a list of aggregate functions. We want to know how many reds, how many yellows, how many merlots. We want a total amount of each of the colors. So to total, we're going to use sum. So we're just going to choose sum in this quantity field. And so now when we run it, we have here each of the colors, but it's added all the reds together. It took all 3 of those reds and added them together. So that's what's happening. That's what you're able to see. And you can see the name of the field changes to let you know you're getting the sum of the total amount. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and save this query as aggregate query. And then we can go ahead and close it. And so there are 3 objects in this database. We have our table and we have our 2 queries. And so that is this assignment. It's pretty quick and easy to do. If you have any questions, of course, email your professor. Thank you.